Shami Yashar'Al, AHAYAH, Alahyanawah, Accad, Shabbat, Shalom, Yashar'Al. Welcome to World War III. Today's reference will be Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20. And our subject will be on the knowledge of good and evil versus a tree of life. Now let's get started. Recently in the news, there was this the fire of Nick Cannon. And by the way, I applaud folks like Nick Cannon, Ice Cube, who are, awakening our people to the reality, to the reality that our ancestors were Hebrews. I want that to be known. I'm not here to cause a division, even though Nick Cannon has already apologized to the Jewish community, which is a good thing. He's working for them, so he should apologize to them if they feel that they have been wronged in some manner or way. That's a good thing, to apologize for them feeling hurt or, just hurt. So it was a good thing. And I'm not here to divide and conquer amongst my brethren. But at the same time, again, you are here visiting Indigenous Hebrew Israelite Awakening. And we are still awakening from the onslaught and terror and the mishaps of being captured by the United States and its philosophy of racism and human trafficking and all the evil that they have placed upon us, the mental terror and mental slavery that still haunts us today. Now, let's get to this knowledge of good and evil. Now, progressive degeneration is a process, and without it's without truth of godliness, or it's out truth of a standard of goodness. That's what, our definition of progressive degeneration is here. Now, folks, without life, you are only suffering from the definition of good and evil by those who control your body. The definition of good and evil is the law of those who make their laws. It is the reason why honor your father and mother is important. Again, in the Bible it says, love God, honor God, but also honor thy father and thy mother. These things are important because you come from them. You are made by God and you come from your mother and fathers. And this good and evil are found on one tree. Good and evil are found on one tree. Now, what's the idea that's found on the other tree? Life. Throughout all history, men and women have been struggling on that tree, on that good and evil tree, since Father Adam and Mother Eve partook of it. If your focus and favor is all about life, you should never have to consider what good and evil or what laws are. And the Bible also talks about that. In fact, in the New Testament, which Jewish people don't agree to, in the New Testament, and Christians try to say that Paul came with this new gospel, which is crazy. He didn't create no New Testament or anything, not even a new religion. In the New Testament, Paul was saying that you don't need to look at the law if you're looking at life. So if you're paying attention to what life is, if you favor life, you don't have to look at the law, statutes, and commandments, because you already love your brother. Just like even the Messiah said, all the laws and the prophets stand on two things. Look it up. And if you're favoring life, there is no struggle. Now, again, going back to, discussing about Mr. Nick Cannon losing his job because, the Jewish community feared what he was saying was anti-Semitic. There is this place called the National Institute of Health, and it is led by some guy named Fauci or something like that, and he's the current leader of this or the know-it-all of this coronavirus that's going around. Now, the folks at National Institute of Health, their scientists have compared the human DNA with the Rhesus monkey. Folks, people are saying, these scientists, I won't say people, I'm going to say scientists. Modern scientists are saying that human beings, and primarily white people, come from the Rhesus monkey, and they have Rh positive or negative blood in their blood or DNA type. But the Bible in Genesis chapter 3 verse 19 specifically says that we come from the dirt. Modern scientists are saying that you come from monkeys, but we can see with our own eyes that humans, animals, plant life, just things in general degenerate and go back to the earth that it came from. Nobody is telling these people to, lose their jobs. Nobody is chasing these guys down and telling them to lose their jobs. In fact, modern science taught us that evolution is human change for the better, that we would get stronger. And the Fauci and these modern science, they showing us that they have no command or control or even a cure for this pneumonia called coronavirus. People are dying. What happened with that evolution? Here's a court case. It's called Brandenburg versus Ohio, 395 US 444. And this happened, it was ruled in 1969. And in 1969, famous folks like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Abernathy, all these different people, all these different famous black people were being murdered. These famous black leaders were being murdered in the United States around that time that this court case happened. Now, in Brandenburg versus Ohio, the Supreme Court ruled in favor to exonerate a member of the Ku Klux Klan, a leader of the Ku Klux Klan, for his inflammatory speech. This Ku Klux Klan leader was exonerated for inflammatory speech. He was granted his constitutional right to speak inflammatory words. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld it. Nobody lost their job. Folks, this Supreme Court case is still on the books today, and nobody lost their job back then. And you can guess the two groups of people this Klansmen, or Klansmen in general, are most famously speaking against. Blacks and Jews, right? I mean, 400 plus years of what you call African Americans, blacks. I'm going to call them indigenous people. Black, native blacks. I'm going to call them the aboriginals of the planet, the first man. We have been time tested by the evils by the good and evil tree of foreigners who still have it in their mind that we must think like them when we don't. We simply don't. And that's what integration, it has been the most wicked thing that one person can put over another one. We simply don't think the same. No matter how much you say, okay, we had a black president, we had black rights and laws and all these things created for us, but we still live under the heavy hand of a system whose forefathers were outright racist, that simply hated us for anything that we did. And it's still in play now that we could look at black people getting murdered on the streets, and they have to determine with their good and evil tree of law system, struggling with the good and tree. Okay, well, what can we do to make it better? No, you have to consider the life first. Because if you don't consider the life first, good and evil don't even matter. Your good and evil is different from what our good and evil is, sort of say. There is a universal declaration. There's a universal declaration of human rights, not civil rights, but human rights in Article 19 that states everyone has a right to freedom and of opinion and expression. But Mr. Cannon lost that, working under a civil order, working under Viacom and the Jewish people who own it. I believe the guy's name is Rothstein in European Yiddish, but Redstone in English. Working for Viacom, and that leads us back to President number 45, who destroyed the professional football player, Mr. Colin Kaepernick. He destroyed his NFL career. Mr. Kaepernick took a knee to express the human right of life. Life. Whether it be black or brown, green, purple, red, white, whatever. Red, white, or blue, whatever. But he was expressing life, looking at the life of those individuals died. That's why he took a knee. That's what I believe. I've never spoken to Mr. Kaepernick before in my life, but that's what I see that he took a knee for, life. He wasn't struggling with good or evil. I believe Mr. Kaepernick took a knee to recognize the life of those individuals who were killed. And again, we living under a system, again, Mr. Kaepernick, Mr. Cannon, they're living on the care and the privilege of Jewish people who hold a white privilege, to where they can say, hey, we don't like what you're doing, we're going to take your job. That's the privilege they have in the United States. And they're making, I forget the other football player, the name, Deshaun Jackson, I believe that's his name. They're making him, or not making him, they asked him to go and study Jewish history, and he's going to go to Auschwitz, I believe, and go and study Jewish history there and see what Hitler did to the Jews, to the Jewish people. And which is good for him if he don't know the history of Adolf Hitler's evil tendencies against Jewish people, then that's something that he needs to go and learn, because we don't need that type of craziness on the planet. We don't need it. Now, he should be able to do the same thing for the Jewish people. He should be able to tell the Jewish people the 400 plus years, he's going to go and learn the 5 or 6 years of Adolf Hitler's tyranny in Europe, worldwide, because he had buddies that went across Europe and other parts of the world and spread this Nazism across the world. In fact, the United States accepted Nazis in NASA and science, in modern science, accepted these people here in the United States. They accepted Nazis to give us science here in America. Remember that. But Mr. Deshaun Jackson should be able to do for the Jews that are going to, school him on Jewish history, and he should be able to school them on the history that he knows of, being black in America, and the 400 plus years of racism, Jim Crow, code laws, black code, slavery, and all the things that we have been pressured by. He should be able to do the same thing for them as well. Now, my question for the Jewish people, and if you guys have any Jewish questions or questions for me, out of the Hebrewisms that we are speaking here, you go right ahead and send a message, go right ahead and send a message. But my question to any Jewish rabbi, my question is about the Yetzer Hara, or the inclination of evil. The inclination, meaning the evil will continually grow. In the Babylonian Talmud, the Sukkah 552 Alpha, I want to know, is this verse to get rid of the evil Messiah ben Joseph? Or who are these two messiahs in the Babylonian Talmud? Because the Old Testament only mentions one Messiah. So I want to know who the two messiahs are in the Babylonian Talmud. And also, this same Ashkenazi Jewish source, the Babylonian Talmud, it makes reference, when it referenced these two messiahs, it makes reference to the book of Zechariah. Now, in the book of Zechariah, when you read through it, there's a prophecy being made that the 12 tribes combined will fight against the children of Greece. And we know that the children of Greece mingled with the Edomites. So we have a history of the southern kingdom of Judah fighting against the kingdom of Greece, the Seleucids, the Greek empires, but we don't have the 12 tribes combined. So I want to know from the Jewish community, in the book of Zechariah, how do you place yourselves inside this prophecy of the book of Zechariah when the 12 tribes will fight against the sons of Greece? Because you guys have gotten your kingdom, your return kingdom, you returned to Israel in 1948, but the Edomites gave you the kingdom. You didn't even fight for it. They gave you the kingdom in 1948. You fought for it later, but you were given the kingdom in 1948. And so this prophecy here in the book of Zechariah, the Most High says that the children of the 12 tribes combined will fight the children of Greece. And I'll put all the links below so that you guys can see all of this stuff that I'm talking about. Ibar HaNavar and the people of the book. That's us. That's nobody else but you Negroes, you blacks, Hispanics, you mulattoes out there. That's you. It's gonna come hard, but you have to endure to the end. You have to endure this to the end, because this supremacy is not going to recognize you. Pure evil Still talking about the good and evil tree. Pure evil. Satan himself does not like God's children. So don't you ever think that Satan, who is in control of this world, is going to love the people that God loves. Satan is going to absolutely hate the people that God loves. And he's going to do everything in his power to keep them in misery. I am a conscientious objector and an administrator of peace. I'm also a Hebrew Israelite. Hebrew Israelite out.